Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Agenda Setting and Work Session. It's Tuesday, November 24th, 2020, and just 9 o'clock. And we are, if you'd like to join us anyway, via phone conference, the number is 360-252-9020, and the PIN is 1234. I'm John Hutchings, the chair of the board. We also have Vice Chair Commissioner Ty Messer, Commissioner Gary Edwards, County Manager Romero Chavez, and I don't see Robin.
No, she
But we
has
also
not.
have Amy Davis, our clerk of the board, and Megan Porter and Brian Dominique, our PIOs. We have Public Health and Social Services Director Shelley Slaughter, and we have Dr. Demiana Abdulmalik with us. Talk about COVID stuff. We have a host of other people that will join us and introduce themselves as we get into their topic. So with that, let's go to the COVID-19 update. Shelley.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, commissioners. This week, we continue to report increases in cases with 147,537 Washingtonians infected with COVID-19 since the pandemic began, with 2,655 Washingtonians who have lost their lives to COVID-19. Here in Thurston County, as of yesterday, we stand at 2,821 cases in Thurston County residents since this pandemic began, with 334 of those cases being reported in just the last week. There have been 45 deaths, with 7 of those occurring in the last week. Our testing positivity rate is 6.8%, the highest it's ever been in Thurston County, and that is likely an undercount because our local community-based testing sites and drive-through sites were very full, and the state system has been overwhelmed with positive tests statewide, which has slowed down reporting. We are currently investigating 11 outbreaks in congregate care facilities, with 1 new facility added in the last week, for 23 total since the pandemic began. Our case rate on the governor's risk assessment dashboard as of this morning is 205.4 per 100,000. That is likely a little bit low of a number as well. In terms of hospital capacity, our hospital bed capacity between our 2 hospitals, Capital Medical Center and Providence St. Peter Hospital, are 71.4% of their total beds occupied, including both COVID and non-COVID patients, with 30 of their total beds occupied by people with COVID-19 who are hospitalized at this time, representing 6.3%. This is also the highest number. And with that, I will pass it to Dr. Abdulmalik to share some further information.
Good morning, commissioners. So our community transmission continues to rise and is currently 205.4 cases per 100,000 over the past 14 days. And as Director Slaughter said, this is the highest it has been since the pandemic began. Much of what we're seeing is community spread, and we're seeing increasing numbers of individuals not knowing where they might have contracted the disease. We're continuing to see patterns of household members getting sick. So if one member of a household becomes ill, then the rest of the household is much more likely to become ill as well. And that's a pattern that we've been seeing. Additionally, small gatherings in our state, as well as nationally, tend to have been a driver of spread as well. So I'm asking everyone in Thurston County to be extremely mindful this Thanksgiving, and that while historically we've all we've gathered with friends and loved ones and family at this time, this year will need to be a little bit different. I'm asking that folks, celebrate, that when you celebrate indoors, only celebrate with your household members. And if you are going to meet outdoors with folks, limit those gatherings to 5 people or less per the governor's restrictions. And anytime you're with non-household members, distancing, so 6 feet, as well as mask wearing is the rule. We are so fortunate to be in a time where we have remote technologies that allow us to connect even when we can't be physically together. So I know that will be how I will be celebrating with my family. We've got a Zoom meeting set up. And I ask that everyone think broadly about what togetherness and thankfulness means this year. I know the holidays can be a struggle for some, and we do have mental health resources listed on our website. And I invite anybody, if you're feeling like you're struggling, or the changes in our lives brought on by the pandemic are too great. There is help out there, and you can access that help by going to our website and getting connected to resources. Thank you, commissioners.
Dr. A, thank you very much for mentioning that. If somebody's really struggling out there and needs help, they're thinking of harming themselves or killing themselves, please reach out. Please reach out. There are people out there you don't even know that care about you. Thank you. Commissioners, I'll turn to Ty first. Do you have any questions or comments regarding this?
One question is maybe Dr. A, when you say the cases are connected to community spread, can you define what you mean by that, community spread? Because I don't think it's clear to a lot of folks. Yeah,
so initially, community spread is a term where there's a background level of transmission. So there are different phases of transmission. So way at the beginning of the pandemic, it was we could pinpoint the initial cases. And then we could track that specifically. They had contact with another person, had contact, with another person, and we could trace it very granularly. At different points in our pandemic, that there has been a greater element of that granularity in our ability to trace, and that tends to happen when we're at low, when we're at our low rates, where it's often much more clear what that exposure was that prompted somebody to contract COVID-19. What we see when cases increase is that while that's still true for some people, where they had a coworker who was coughing, or someone in their household got sick, or a friend who they spent time with over the weekend got sick. We're also seeing people who don't have an obvious identifiable exposure beyond, daily, beyond their day-to-day work, or their, grocery shopping, or, things of that nature. We can't pinpoint a specific exposure beyond just the background community risk of getting the disease.
Good, thanks. And I guess one other comment is just that when we heard those parents who gave testimony at the public health, the Board of Health meeting a couple weeks ago, a lot of them I noticed had kids who were in high school. And I'm just pointing out, or I just wanted to kind of say that, you hear in the community that, schools are shut down and, sports are shut down and everything, but my son's a freshman at Capitol, and so I'm not really familiar. I mean, it's his first time being in high school, so I didn't know what all they're doing. But a lot of the activities are continuing virtually. My son spent 2 of the last 3 weekends, all day Friday and all day Saturday, in a speech and debate competition with different schools around the region. So he got excited. He actually won second place on one of the categories, and he never did that before. And there may be a lot of parents out there with kids who weren't extracurricular minded in the past. But in this kind of unusual environment, I would encourage the parents to encourage their kids to get involved. The Capitol's got certain clubs that are going on and meeting virtually, just so kids, you know, my son, I was really worried about him as a freshman, making friends and making new connections at a new school. So that's really been helpful. So, you know, the schools are doing a lot, and just try to keep, you know, I think the more you can get your kids doing something new and maybe something they've never done before, it'll help keep them engaged and kind of just weathering this storm, so to speak. But I want to throw that out there because there's things going on that you may not be aware of, number one, and your child may not have been interested in the past, but they might benefit from it now. So
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, I'm curious, have we experienced any outbreaks in any of the private schools that are running in person?
So I due to privacy matters and because we're a medium-sized county and everyone's privacy is absolutely essential in order for us to be able to respond to positive cases as they come up. I can't I don't want to comment on that specifically at this point, but I will say that we have had cases in the educational setting of transmission within those facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Same as last week and the week before. Now there have been in other counties, because I've heard that reported, but they're huge counties. Hey Doc, I want to go right back. I just have three questions. It might be for Shelley as well. The first one's not so much a question as is I'm really glad you talked about the suicide, especially this time of year. Every time this time of year, or this time every year. And if you're not suicidal, but you know someone who might be suicidal, there's a program called QPR, and Scott Hanauer is teaching it, and he's with Family Education Services, Support Services, and it's question, persuade, and refer. Most everybody in the planet or on the planet knows what CPR is, and this is the same thing for suicidal folks. And it's QPR. Question them and ask them directly. Are you thinking of harming yourself or killing yourself? You're not going to plant the idea in someone's head. Don't worry about that. But question them, persuade them not to, and then refer them on to services, please. Number two, you talked about the 71% hospital occupancy and such. So at what point do we, as a county, start bringing in MASH units and external tents for COVID patients that we're hearing happening in other counties?
Currently, we don't anticipate the need for that. The hospitals across the state met recently to discuss what their coordination plans would be in that event. And the state does have the capability of setting up those kind of field hospitals for surge capacity, as they did earlier in the pandemic. They were able to practice and set those up statewide. Fortunately, we did not need to use those in Washington, but we're prepared to do that again if need be. All of our hospitals are managing their own capacity, and they're reserving 20% of their beds for COVID-19 patients should they have a surge, meaning that right now they're utilizing as many beds as they can for whatever healthcare needs the community has. But should there become a need for additional COVID beds that is more than is available, then hospitals can make certain decisions to roll back things like elective surgeries again. And this time, in this wave of the pandemic, hospitals will be coordinating together and making individual decisions per their hospital to make the best decision if they need to roll back. Some hospitals we've seen elsewhere in Western Washington are beginning to do that because the hospital system is starting to be stretched.
So our hospitals are not bursting at the seams yet, and they have not rolled back elective surgery just yet.
That's correct.
That's encouraging. and this is a little bit tongue in cheek. My wife and I do our temperatures every day with a little trigger to the forehead, right? And does that measure the internal temperature or the skin temperature?
My understanding is that it's the skin temperature that's being measured. I know that that the more internal exposure a thermometer has, the more reliable it is in terms of detecting your core body temperature. So there's definitely in medicine, there is definitely a hierarchy of temperatures. But for COVID-19, because the concern is there's a distance piece, there's a cleaning of the thermometers, piece to prevent transmission. The scanning thermometers are helpful in that regard, taking all the different constraints into account.
So I had somebody ask me that, and I thought, well, that's a very interesting question, because I didn't know if it was an internal or an external, but I leaped to using it as a meat thermometer on Thanksgiving Day for the turkey, but I guess that won't work. I'll use it. Okay. I have nothing further. Commissioners, anything further for the doctor or Shelley? Nope. All right. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Number 2, homeless strategies. And I believe we have Keely. Yeah, Keely Marino right here. Go ahead, Keely.
Good morning, Commissioners. Keely Marino with Public Health and Social Services. I just have a very brief update for you. I'm sure most of you have at least been pointed into the direction of the article that came out in the Olympian, written by Brandon Block about the Ewrap program. It was very well written. So our updates on Ewrap are a little bit redundant today. However, there have been 1,067 appointments made, serving 911 households total between 2 programs that are being hosted at Community Action Council of Lewis, Mason, and Thurston. And 1,395 back months of rent have been paid. In the last week, we have adjusted, meaning Community Action Council and our office has worked on adjusting the criteria for accessing those funds. So it used to be that so an applicant needed to be at 50% area median income. Now they've increased that to 80% area median income, which means approximately $60,000 per year is what 80% of area median income is. Previously, the Ewrap program would only cover a total of 3 months. Now it will cover a total of 6 months of rental assistance. And previously, the Ewrap program would only serve a household 1 time. Now, the Ewrap program can serve a household more than once. There's about $1 million left to spend in the next 5 weeks. At the rate that they're going, I don't think they'll have much difficulty in ensuring that those funds get to households that need it here in Thurston County. As far as other matters concerning houseless individuals in Thurston County, we're kind of in a hurry up and wait holding pattern around conversations with City of Olympia, City of Lacey, Thurston County for a safe parking program. We're still just in the middle of those discussions about what that might look like and where it might be. We have offered to consider storing some of the City of Olympia's dumpsters that they have currently in storage on an adjacent property to the firing range at Martin Way and Carpenter Road. That's something we're offering so that upper lot may become available for a safe parking program. However, we're still in the planning phase, and we'll continue working on that over the next several weeks. We are continuing to do all we can to find ways to mitigate any kind of need during the cold weather months. We're all aware that our total number of available shelter beds has decreased this year due to physical distancing guidelines and COVID-19, and we do not have any daytime warming centers or hygiene centers still at this point, unless they're connected to a specific shelter. Some shelters are offering 24/7 services, which do include showers. So we're continuing to problem solve around that, working with our jurisdictions local jurisdictions to see what we can do to help our individuals that are living outside stay warm and healthy during this season. And that's about it.
Gary, I'll start with you. Any questions for Keely?
No, sir.
Ty?
Keely, there was a grant that went to, it landed with Interfaith Works, I believe, to get a limit. Interfaith Works, I know, has multiple projects going, but there was one particular where they had like 10 or 15, they had funding for 10 or 15 beds they had to get up by the end of this year.
Yes.
And I was talking with Meg Martin about it in the summer, and I just hadn't heard a recent update on where those beds are going to materialize.
Absolutely. So currently they have a temporary shelter at First United Methodist Church. That shelter is accommodating those extra 15 beds. So they moved the 23 individuals from the 2828 Martin Road temporary shelter into the second temporary shelter and are adding those 15 beds that are funded through the Department of Commerce as soon as they get mats. So they're just waiting for some back order of some supplies, and those 15 beds will be in play in the next week or two.
Again, where is that at?
First United Methodist Church.
First United Methodist Church.
Mm-hmm. And that's until the 344 Martin Way property is ready to house the sprung structure that they're going to be purchasing and placing on that property for sheltering guests until 2828 Martin Way, the permanent building is constructed.
And does that church have like how are they accommodating that? Do they have an extra building attached to it?
Their structure is rather large, and so they have an entire downstairs, which is a giant open cafeteria. They are a very generous congregation and have hosted numerous meetings and community gatherings in that space. It's quite large, and so that is where folks are staying.
I know 9 months ago or so, we sent a letter of thanks to the First Christian Church, I think it was, for kind of them stepping up. And I wonder, would that be appropriate in this instance to thank the Methodist Church for doing something like this?
Absolutely. I think that would be
maybe if my seatmates are amenable, we could kind of write a similar letter to what we did before. It's just amazing to me that these groups step up and have these activities to help the community.
Is that it? Okay, I have nothing, Keely. Thank you very much for staying on top of this.
All right, thank you so much.
You're right about that article this morning. It was very, very well done.
Yes.
Very well done. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Now we're going to move into reviewing the draft agenda for this afternoon, November 24, 2020. And we'll call the meeting to order at 2 o'clock. And right after the BoCC, we have a 3 p.m. a floodplain public hearing, and at 5:30 this afternoon we have a public hearing for the comp plan amendment or update. So we'll call the meeting this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Gary Edwards. Approval of the agenda and the minutes for 2 different meetings, and then we get right into presentations. And the first one is Public Works introduction of new Public Works employees.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. This afternoon, County Engineer Scott Limblom will introduce a few staff members from they have joined the Public Works Department: Ryan Blazer, Heidi Steinbach, and Joseline Baker. That will give an opportunity for you to hear a little bit of a background about the new employees, and also give the board the opportunity to formally welcome to the county family. You're muted, Commissioner.
Thank you, Romero. Scott, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't. And there'll be one additional employee, Elena Fernandez. She'll be joining us as well by Zoom.
Oh, very good. Very good. Okay. Commissioners, anything on that?
No, sir.
Okay. Number 2, Public Works presentation, Outstanding Performance Awards for Temoshan and Boston Harbor wastewater treatment plants.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Tim Wilson will present to the board, give you again an opportunity for highlight the outstanding performance of Public Works. This is related to the 2 performance awards that we received from the Department of Ecology, related to one of the Boston Harbor water treatment, wastewater treatment plant, as well as the Temoshan. This is a yearly award the department receives, and Tim Wilson is going to walk you through this afternoon in more detail what those awards really mean.
Very good. Thanks for joining us, Tim. Do you have anything to add?
Good morning, Commissioners. No, I do not at this time.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Nope. Okay. Thanks, Tim. That takes us to the opportunity for the public to address the board. And do you have anything pending in that regard?
Yes, yeah, you may receive public testimony related to the upcoming budget decisions.
Okay. And county manager's update?
Yes, I would like to highlight this afternoon, and again, the CPED and the great performance that they have gone through the FEMA process, in which the county has retained our Class 2 of the community rating CRS system. What does that mean? As you may recall, allows for those individuals who are in the floodplain to get access to insurance in case of flooding. Just to give you a perspective, and I will highlight this afternoon, is across the nation, there were 1,509 jurisdictions who participated on the CRS program. Out of the 1,509 jurisdictions, only 9 have been awarded the Class 2 or above, and Thurston County is one of those 9. So kudos to CPED and the stormwater staff who has been working diligently to help our citizens in this case.
Very good. Robin?
So I would also like to take the opportunity during the county manager's comments to announce that the budget book is available online and hard copy if someone should want it in preparation for the budget hearings in December.
Will you do me a favor, introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have anything to add on that topic?
No, sir.
Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. That takes us to consent item A and B. This is agenda item number 3, and they're both financial services vouchers for November 2nd and the week of November 9th as well. And I trust my seatmates have had a chance to go over those. So department items, agenda item number 4A is a resolution of substantial need above IPD.
Yeah, Commissioners, items 4A, 4B, and 4C, they were the subject of your public hearing last Tuesday. You received public testimony, as you may recall, from Mr. Pettit, as well as you received a letter dated November 20th from Mr. Pettit as well. I'm not going to read that letter. I believe you already have on your records. And this is, and just he is questioning the need for you to consider the substantial need related to the revenues in the county. So those 3 resolutions, I will ask Robin to walk you through in more detail as to what those 3 resolutions do. But again, those are related to the public hearing that you heard last week. And you must take an action this afternoon, and that is why you have those 3 resolutions before you today, as we have stated in the past.
Okay.
So I'll jump right in. Item 4A is the resolution to approve substantial need. Without this, the levy increase would be limited to the implicit price deflator, which is a form of inflation. And the IPD this year is 0.602%. The board has by law the authority to find substantial need, and I believe that that has been done just in the fact that the offices and departments expressed everything they needed in the budget, and the board could not afford to fund all of those things. There is substantial need in the county, and what this does is allow you to increase the property tax levy by 1%, the full 1% allowable by law. Item 2 or 4B.
Robin, before you move on this item, just to add additional context to this, the cities of Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater has taken similar action related to their property tax of the special needs, just to give you some information on that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, B is to set the property tax levy increase, and we do both dollar and percentage. This resolution looks a little strange because it doesn't say 1%, but it excludes new construction and other items in the calculation. It's done as we are directed to do by the Department of Revenue, and it is inclusive of the full 1% lift as allowed. Item.
Oh, wait, before you move on, I have a question about that. But we don't put that amount in the action? Is that because it varies?
Yeah, since this resolution is for current expense fund, a road fund, Medic One, and Conservation Futures, it would become a long and complicated motion, and it's all included in the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Do any teammates have any questions on A and B yet? Okay.
And then item C is the certification to the assessor. That lays out precisely the amount for each of the funds, the levy for each fund, and authorizes both the levy shift of $2,750,000 and the road diversion of $1,500,000. Any questions on any of those?
Doesn't appear to be, no. Okay, thank you. That takes care of agenda item 4A through D. 5 on the agenda item is the amendment to chapter. We got to talk about D.
4D.
4D.
Yeah, sorry.
Setting a public hearing for telecommunications franchise agreement.
Yeah, you did review this item last week, Commissioners, and for your consideration is to set a public hearing for Tuesday, December 15, 2020 at 3 in the afternoon in this room for you to take public testimony related to an application we have received for a franchise for telecommunication services. This is for New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, also known as AT&T. And again, this is the first step in the franchise agreements. First of all, you need to hold a public hearing before you accept any franchise applications. And after that, there's a couple of steps in which then you direct the staff to start negotiating the franchise agreement. And eventually this will come back to the board if it need be for you to approve a new franchise agreement.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions or comments on that?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Thank you, Romero. Number 5, 5A is an amendment to the Chandler Court lease with DM Venture Evergreen.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. So as you may recall, you approve a 2-year lease agreement with DM Venture Evergreens, which is the owner of a location at the 2404 Chandler Court Southwest in Olympia. We had to sign a 2-year agreement. I said we had to because we didn't have an option. To house a satellite court rooms to provide both the Superior Court and District Court the ability to continue to provide jury trials, and yet continue to be mindful and respectful in meeting the guidelines of the emergency of COVID-19. So there's a lot of tenant improvements that have been going on, as you may recall, and all the tenant improvements will be covered by the CRF funding, not necessarily the lease. The lease has been already addressed during the budget process, as you may recall. So there is an increase on some of the change items as we close the tenant improvements. And this agreement is to amend the current agreement by $136,223. And there's a lot of small items that amount to that. And again, the request for you to consider amending the contract, the lease agreement, the board already authorized to cover the additional expenses of tenant improvements of $136,223.16 to be exact. And Robin is here to answer any questions you may have related to this.
Ty, any questions?
So is this, the timing of all these, I mean, we're getting to the end of November. Is the timing such that we take this money before we sweep the additional money toward corrections, or how is that?
Yes, you're tracking exactly on that. So is a sense of urgency on all this, yes.
Okay, and then this is not really related to the item specifically, but I know the courts have paused their jury trials, and I know the last I'd heard on a deadline was December, or not deadline, but a projected opening date or ready date was December 1st. Is that still when these spaces will be ready, or are they going to take a little more time now that courts are paused?
No, these spaces are ready. There are very few items waiting to be installed, but they're ready to use. And even though the court is not going to be conducting jury trials, I know that district court intends to begin to use the court space right away, and I believe Superior Court does as well. So they won't be jury trials, but they will be other court proceedings going on in that building immediately.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Those are the exact questions I had for the COVID courtrooms. We scampered to get them put together. When would they be up and running? And now that we paused, are they going to sit vacant for a while? So thank you.
They are going to be used right away.
Commissioner Edwards, questions or comments?
No, my questions were answered as well.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Robin. Number 6, Public Health and Social Services, the Veterans Assistance Program Emergency Amendment.
Yeah, for your consideration, Commissioners, is for you to consider an emergency amendment to the Veterans Assistance Program policies and procedures. And as a very specific amendment for your consideration, just to give an example, on section 3.1 of that, which deals with indigents, and the description of that is included in that section. In the past, it was given benefits to those individuals who meet the annual income after tax for up to 100% of the poverty level. The proposal is to change that to bring it up to 200%, and that will allow for more veterans to be able to access those benefits. Another change proposed in this amendment is we added the consideration maybe to deduct court order payments and garnishments for final income calculation. So it adds the low income level to 200% and includes some court order payments also can be deducted as part of this benefit. As you know, the Veterans Fund has enough ending fund balance, and I believe this is just another option that we provide to continue to help our veterans here in Thurston County. I believe Mark Muffett is online if you have any questions related to this proposal.
Mark, I know you have something to add.
I do, and I apologize. This is the first time I've ever had to disagree with Ramiro.
Please correct me.
Maybe I wasn't clear in the AIS, so I want to make sure I'm really clear here. So what we're proposing is an emergency amendment, which is section 8 of our policy, and that does 5 different things for us. And this was a consideration of the Veterans Advisory Board on October 19th. This will only be in effect when the county has declared emergency. It removes the limit on access. So in the past, we have limited access to the fund twice in a veteran's lifetime. This one will open that up to make sure that we can get to all the veterans that are in need during this crisis. It also increases the limit. So for a single veteran, at the moment, it's $1,000. This would go up to $1,500. For a family, it's currently $2,000, and this would raise it to $3,000. It also, as we know, internet services are really important right now because we're at home, we're working from home. There's school kids or the kids at home going to school using the internet. So we want to include that in the services that we're providing. And then the other thing that it does that the Veteran Advisory Board really wanted is that it empowers the veteran to work at the veteran at the Lacey Veterans Hub, because there's so many other things that a veteran needs, and it's not just that financial assistance. When we talk to them, they usually need either mental health counseling, or they need a new job, or they need to apply for benefits within the VA system. So we want to make sure that we encourage them during this process.
I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
You bet.
And so that you answered a question I had, but it brings up more questions. The last line of that action is during a declared emergency, but we did that back in March 13th or 12th, didn't we? We're not looking for a new emergency declaration for any reason.
No. This is just gets in line with the county. So if the county declares an emergency, then this would go into effect, and our policies are more flexible and able to help more veterans.
Perfect. Go ahead, Gary.
And Mark, this is as per recommended by the Veterans Advisory Board?
That's correct. We had our quarterly meeting on October 19th, and this was discussed heavily during that time, and these are the recommendations that they came up with.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Before I get to you, Ty, Robin, were you jumping in for something? Okay, go ahead, Ty.
Mark, thanks. This sounds good. The last piece, I'm not sure I understood about the Veterans Hub. Can you explain that again?
You bet. So what the Veterans Advisory Board sees is that veterans, when they come in for financial assistance, there's typically more issues embedded within that veteran, and they want to make sure that they get them to the Veterans Advisory Hub, or excuse me, the Veterans Hub in Lacey, to work on other things that might be coming up. So to talk to a representative to increase or get Veterans Affairs benefits. If they need a new job, or if maybe they're unemployed, we have people at the hub that can help them with that. We also have the mental health counseling. There's a whole host of things that we can help them with. It's not just that financial assistance. We want to make sure that once the financial assistance is done, that they are able to take care of themselves and their family.
But is that a change of some kind? They're not currently able to access the Veterans Hub, or?
They are, but this would require them to get in there to get additional, or to inquire about other services.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You bet.
And thank you, Mark, for everything you're doing with the COVID response as well, but especially what you're doing with the veterans. And the Veterans Hub in Lacey has been, they're doing an amazing job with our vets in our community in Thurston County, and it hits close to home too. So thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you. And Ramiro, I'm really sorry if that didn't come off clear enough.
No,
in the AIS.
no, that's all good. I'm glad that you corrected me.
You bet.
All right, 6B is Department of Social and Health Services County Program Agreement, Respite Care.
Yeah, you did review this item last week, Commissioners, and this for your consideration is to approve a contract with the Washington State Department of Social and Health Services for Respite Care for the terms of September 1st, 2020 to June 30, 2021. This is a continuation of the services that we provide in the same contract with the Department of Social and Health Services. And this is to provide services to the community members with developmental disabilities. This doesn't have an actual dollar amount, but we get reimbursed directly from the state based on the services that we provide. And I believe Margaret Bagley is here if you have any question.
Thank you for joining us, Margaret. Do you have anything to add?
Good morning. No, I do not.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Menser, anything? Questions, comments?
Just hello to Margaret. Good to see
Hello.
you. And
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir, it's covered. Thank you.
Good, got it. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7A, is a master interlocal agreement for the Rural Community Support Program.
Yeah, you also reviewed this item last week, Commissioners, and this item, what it does is getting into an interlocal agreement with the towns of Yokota, the cities of Rainier and Tenino, for the Public Works Department to provide maintenance and services to the roadway system, which may include pavement striping, potholing, patching, etc. This is needed to continue the services with those towns, which the original agreement was signed in 2011, and with the town of Yokota in 2014 for the cities of Rainier and Tenino. Matt Unselman, the traffic engineer for Public Works, is here to answer any questions.
Good morning, Matt. Anything to add?
Nope.
Okay.
County manager did a good job. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions or comments on this interlocal?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Thank you. And 7B also includes, Matt, and the setting of a public hearing for speed limit.
Yeah, Commissioners, for your consideration to set a public hearing for December 15, 2020 at 3 in the afternoon in this room for you to receive public testimony related to proposals to change the speed limits on portions of the county roadway. The specific changes are on 56th Avenue Northeast from Puget Beach Road East to Elvis Street, goes from unposted 50 miles an hour to 40 miles an hour. 153rd Avenue Southeast from Vale Road to Lawrence Lake Road Southeast. It will go from unposted 50 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour. 216 Avenue Southwest from Old Highway 99 to Hudson Road Southwest will go from unposted 50 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour. Munson Court Southwest from Munson Drive Southwest to the dead end, from unposted 50 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour. Munson Drive Southwest from Cedar Flats Road Southwest to the dead end, from unposted 50 miles an hour to 25. And last but not least, Woodard Bay Road Northwest from Boston Harbor Road Northeast to Liberty Road Northeast, that will go from unposted 50 miles an hour to 40 miles an hour. And Matt Anselman is here to answer any questions, and I believe he walked you through the process last week, but certainly he's here.
Matt?
The only thing I'd like to add is we have done a significant amount of outreach regarding these speed limit revisions. We have not any real opposition to these revisions. That's it.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's Matt Unselman, the Traffic Engineering Operations Manager.
I apologize for that.
That's all right, don't worry. I just got to get it for the record. Commissioners, any comments or questions regarding the speed limit variations?
No, sir.
No? Okay, Matt, thank you so much. 7C, setting a public hearing for the Thurston County Code water and sewer rates.
Yes, this is another item for you to consideration to set a public hearing for December 15, 2020 in the afternoon in this room for you to provide public testimony related to proposed changes for water and sewer rates in the county. The proposed changes to, at this point are intended to allow us to continue to collect water and sewer rates in 2021 at the current levels, which is 2020. This action is required because only 2019 and 2020 rates are identified in the current code. And we need board approval in action to continue collecting the same rates in 2021. And due to the COVID-19, this impact to the ratepayers, we are, at this point, we're not recommending any adjustments to the 2020 rates. So there is a couple of steps in here, and it requires a legislative action. Before you take that action, you need to hold a public hearing. And CNAF is here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Zanab, for joining us. Do you have anything to add?
Hi, Sam Najari, Technical Services Manager at Thurston County.
The one thing I did want to add is the county manager mentioned that we are keeping the monthly base rates and consumption charges the same, but the equivalent service extension charges and additional capacity charges would be increased by 1.7%, which is an automatic inflationary factor that was adopted by the board previously, really long time ago, and it applies only to connections outside of the utility local improvement district. And just to give you some idea of like what that means, that is what it is: $7 for water, approximately, and $26 for sewer. And for a 1 acre property that would get developed outside the utility local improvement district, you're looking at about $30 to $65 change.
Okay. Commissioner Edwards, anything on this?
I guess I'd just ask, is that per month, per year? What?
It's a one-time charge when the property is developed.
Connection.
Okay. Thank you.
Ty, anything?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, me too. Thank you, Zeynep, very much. That takes us to agenda item number 8 this afternoon, which is wrapping up our boards and commissions and work sessions that we've done as commissioners, and then the county manager will review our calendar. And then we adjourn and move into the public hearing at 3 o'clock on the CPED floodplains.
Yeah, Commissioners, this public hearing, you'll be receiving public testimony before you take an action to enact on that ordinance that you passed back in June 16, 2020, ordinance number 15905, which that particular ordinance was an interim ordinance, and it was somewhat of an urgency to pass that emergency ordinance to meet the requirements of FEMA. And this particular ordinance will be expiring here in January 31st, 2021. And the proposal of this public hearing is for you to consider, after the public hearing, make those a permanent resolution. And there's not really changes from the interim resolution that you passed back in June 2020. And Jeremy Davis is here to answer any questions related to this public hearing this afternoon.
Morning, Jeremy. Anything to add, sir?
Good morning. Certainly, sir. I just want to let you know I have not received any written public testimony for this afternoon's public hearing at this time. We'll be checking today's mail as well.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments of Jeremy?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Jeremy, this is going to save residents dollars when we make this change so that they get this insurance at a cheaper rate.
Yes, sir. Keeping our current flood plain development ordinance in line with the National Flood Insurance Program minimum requirements will ensure that our folks in Thurston County will still be able to purchase flood insurance, and also purchase that flood insurance at that reduced rate, which we get by being a Class 2 community rating system community in FEMA. And that adds up to a 40% rate cut for those that are within the 100-year floodplain, and a 10% for those outside of it.
Thank you very much.
And that is related to the item that I will be highlighting this afternoon in my manager's update related to the county achieving the community rating system of Class 2, which exactly allows for the members of affected within the floodplain to access a 40% reduction of annual flood insurance. So all that is related in a way.
Okay, nothing, Ty?
No.
All right. Jeremy, thank you.
Thank
Then
you.
we're moving into 5:30 this afternoon, a public hearing on the 2020 comprehensive plan update.
Yeah, you will hear public testimony related to proposed amendments to chapters 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 11, and Appendix 6C and D. The future land use map, L1, long-term forestry and agricultural map, N1, and designated mineral lands map, M43. And Maya Tipo is one who has been managing this process, And again, this afternoon is for you to receive public testimony. And the only action that we are recommending is for you to close the public hearing. And we will have already scheduled, I believe, a follow-up briefing in a couple of weeks for you to have a conversation based on the public testimony you might receive before you direct the staff as to the next step on taking an action. Maya is here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maya, for joining us. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I have an update that we have received 123 written public comments so far, and those will be provided to the Board of County Commissioners before the public hearing at 4 o'clock. So that's my main update. And as Ramiro said, we are not asking for a decision after the close of the public hearing. We do have a follow-up briefing scheduled on December 2nd to discuss the options and the public comment that was received.
Thank you. And you said 4 o'clock, but we're at 4:30?
It's 5:30.
Yeah, the public hearing is at 5:30, and I will send over the written comments at 4.
Okay. Oh, thank you. And one question is the public comment, are they broken down into what each individual issue is? Or are they a template everybody uses to attack the, I don't mean attack, but address the same 1, 2, 3, 4 issues?
So most of the public comments we have received so far have been a forum comment, and they address the same 3 points. I will discuss that tonight when I give an overview of the comments we received broken down by the options that they support. So.
Great, thank you. That's helpful for me. Commissioner Menser, questions or comment?
No, I made this comment last week, but I mean, I know that there's this legal requirement about passing a comprehensive plan amendment once per year. So there's this push to try to get as much as we can, agreed on and done. But the conversation that we're going to need to have after the public hearing is an hour is not going to be sufficient. So I'm just throwing that out there. If there's an expectation that this board's going to parse through all this public comment and get a decision made, we better start looking at the calendar for more additional work session times, because an hour is not going to go anywhere near being able to cover the issues that we have to cover. And I don't want to feel, echoing what Commissioner Edwards says a lot, I don't want to feel rushed, and I don't want to feel like we're making decisions without all the information we need to have. So I know we have this December 31st deadline, and this is kind of, there's a lot in there.
Commissioner Edwards, anything?
No, sir. Commissioner Menser covered mine. Thank you.
Good, okay. Then I look forward to as much time as we need to chew through this. How many total written comments did you say, Maya?
123 so far.
Okay, but they all seem to be addressing the same top 3 issues?
About 115 of them are a form comment letter. So.
Okay, and we'll have more about that tonight. Thank you. All right, thank you. That's all we have on that one. And that culminates the day today. And now we will move into, we got time. What's it look like? Let me look at this real quick. Yeah, let's jump through this one. December 1st. That's next Tuesday, December 1st. I can't believe that. Board meeting. We'll call the meeting to order at 2 p.m. and the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Commissioner Menser. Approval of the agenda and the minutes from today. And an opportunity for public address or public comment, and might be premature for that. I can imagine budget will still be there. County manager update, a bit early for that as well, I would imagine. So agenda item number 3, consent items A through D. The first is sole purchase from Skip Line LLC.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners, for your consideration. Is for you to approve a sole source purchase from Skip Line LLC. And this is a product the Central Services is requesting for your consideration to approve. This is to upgrade the Thurston County Striper data logger. As you may recall, you probably don't recall, we purchased a new Striper vehicle maybe 3-4 years ago in Public Works. And this particular purchase is to upgrade all the software and hardware that is located in this particular vehicle. The data and the software that we have, obviously, as any technology moves so fast, has already reached the useful life. And this particular vendor is the only one who can provide that type of service. And again, for your consideration is to authorize sole source and to purchase this software and hardware for skip line for a total cost of $26,998. And that will come from the ER&R funding, I believe.
Okay, any questions, commissioners?
Yes. I just wonder if the county manager couldn't differentiate between it's a striper vehicle?
Yeah, a striper vehicle.
Not a striker.
But striper with a P.
It's for public works use on painting lines, right?
That is correct.
I just want to make sure everybody knew the difference between striker and striper. One's a military application and the other is a road safety issue.
Yeah, one has a P, the other one has a K.
Yeah, I just didn't want anybody making a mistake.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Ty, anything on that?
No.
Okay. 3B, Human Resources, and this is the Board of Equalization request to convene.
Yes, Commissioners, under RCW 84.48.010, the Board of Equalization, with the authorization of the Board of County Commissioners, the legislative authority, may convene at any time when petitions exceed 25 or 10% of the number of appeals filed on the preceding year, whichever is greater. The number of petitions for appeal filed thus far in 2020 are 470, which exceeds the 10% of the number of petitions that were filed in 2019 assessment year. And this is, the board considers this action every year, and what it does is allows the Board of Equalization to convene at any time and continue to work through all the petitions and appeals they receive related to their property assessment. Ruth Elder, I believe, is here. She is the clerk of the Board of Equalization. If you have any questions, she'll be more than happy to answer those.
All right, well, I have one question before I turn to my seatmates. 470 appeals, is that right on par, or is it higher than normal, or fewer than normal?
But in relation to last year, in 2019, you received a total of 590.
Oh, okay. Good. Commissioner Menser, any comments or questions?
Do you want me to talk about averages? I'm sorry, this is Ruth Elder. I'm Community Program Manager from Human Resources and Clerk of the Board of Equalization.
Yeah, Ruth, you didn't pop up on the screen, so I didn't call you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having
right
problems with my camera for some reason on my laptop, and I'm teleworking today, so my apologies, Commissioners.
No worry, go right ahead.
So I've worked with the Board of Equalization now for 25 years, so it's very difficult to talk about, quote, averages. During those years, I've seen caseloads as low as a couple hundred appeals to almost 2,000. So there's been quite a range over those years. I would say that in the last several years, we've averaged somewhere between 500 and 800 overall for the last several years. So this is just slightly below that. We've actually received another 20 or so petitions since I had submitted this request to you. So we're hovering more around 490 right now today. But that tends to be pretty typical in our experience. And this is, as Romero said, just a routine annual process by which the Board of Equalization receives your permission to continue the work in finishing the appeals that have been filed.
Thank you, Ruth. That's helpful. Ty, any questions or comments? Gary?
My only question is, did we budget for this item? Are we covered on budget?
So there's an annual budget to support the Board of Equalization's work, and it doesn't fluctuate with the workload particularly. Frankly, the Board of Equalization can only hold so many hearings in a year and so on. The board at this point feels initially pretty confident that and hopeful that we'll be able to complete this work within the 2021 tax year. That's the board's annual goal, is to complete all of the assessment appeals from the prior year during the tax year that's affected by those. And we feel pretty confident based on this caseload that we'll be able to do that and do that within budget.
And the compensation is based on a per diem basis, just to clarify.
Okay, thank you very much,
Yes,
Ruth.
for the board members. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, Ruth, and thank you for what you do. And that takes us to 3C on the agenda, and that's the Sheriff's Department. Transfer soon to be retired K-9 Darrow to Deputy Schenkel.
You know, Commissioners, this is the first item that they have seen related to on this, and this is such a great item. Let me read this to you because it's fabulous. On December 31st, 2020, K-9, named Darrow, will retire from duty from the Sheriff's Office. Deputy Schenkel would like to have the Sheriff's Office transfer ownership of Darrow to him. Deputy Schenkel will be personally responsible for all care and costs of Darrow as he retires at his home. So K-9 Darrow was acquired in August 2014, and at that time, and is an 8.5-year-old Belgian Milanese German Shepherd. During K-9 Darrow's career, he and Deputy Schenkel have had 419 deployments together. The team assisted in capture, arrest, or identification of 206 suspects for a total of 491 related crimes. Darrow has also located more than 178 items of evidence during his career. Something that is not measurable is how many offenses and crimes K-9 Darrow has been responsible deterring. There has been hundreds of incidents in which K-9 Darrow presence has detoured countless individuals from fleeing or assaulting deputies at the scene. So this particular item is for you to authorize the sheriff to designate Darrow at the care of Deputy Schenkel. I believe Under Sheriff Brady is here to answer any questions related to this proposal.
Thank you for joining us, Under Sheriff. Do you have anything to add to that, sir?
I do not. Thanks for having me here. I just we are very blessed and fortunate that our agency and the commission has always supported this program. We also have a large portion of our K-9 program comes from donations, and we're fortunate in that we're able to a lot of times retire our K-9s prior to them having major debilitating conditions. And so really we look at it as a blessing to be able to have these K-9s, that can go spend, a year or two with their handlers after they retire, which is a great opportunity for them.
Thank you, Under Sheriff. That was the only question I had was, is Darrow in good health? But that's good for Tyson then.
Yeah, he does have some underlying medical issues. They're able to be managed currently with diet and medication. But yeah, certainly it would be something for good for Darrow and for his handler.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir, you've covered it all. Thank you.
Ty?
No, good.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Good to see you, sir. 3D, that'll be the financial services. We'll get the vouchers. We'll look at that. And we get to move into department items. 4A is Juvenile Court Parent Pay Program and Guardian item.
Yeah, Commissioners, I'm going to use this. Let me take you back to 2018.
Yeah.
And that's when the county wrote off $1,091,726 of fines that were not collected as a result of fees implemented in this program. This program is operated by juvenile court, is the parent pay, where parents are fined for the cost of their child's incarceration on a daily basis. many of the parents are unable to enroll and to pay the fine. So over time has accumulated. As you may recall, we retired the big debt back in 2018. As a result of that, the parent pay was shut down as a system in May of 2020. That was an action by Superior Court. However, since the debt that you retired in 2018 only resolved the unpaid fees through the end of 2016. So between 2017 until the parent was retired, there's additional debt that needs to be retired. And this debt is $51,343.10. And I believe this will be the last debt that will be retired under this program. As a result of that in 2018, there's the Thurston County Financial Policies Procedures, that's number 3055, requires now that every office and departments to go through on a yearly basis and determine how that is going to be retired, so we don't face, again, with a larger impact. So that is one action. That is the parent pay program for $51,343.10. And the other one is also in juvenile court, and that's the guardian ad litem program, and the same position. So so far, we're not be able to recover the fees imposed under that program, and we're requesting to retire the bad debt of $15,000 to $160,000. So two actions. One is the parent pay program for $51,343.10, and the other one is for the guardian ad litem program, a total of $15,260. And I believe Robin is here if you have any questions.
Robin, if you have anything more to add, you're free to add that, but include this, that before we write that off as bad debt, is this revenue that we've booked as revenue that will have to be deducted somewhere?
Yes. So I don't have much to add to Romero's comments, but yes, we do record this as revenue, and we would deduct that from the general fund, which is why you want to do it when it's not much money.
Right. Ty, questions or comments? Gary?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Agenda item number 5 is CPED South Sound Green Interlocal Agreement for 21 through 25.
Yeah, for your consideration, Commissioners, to approve the South Sound Green Interlocal Agreement with the cities of Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater, and the Thurston Conservation District for $14,400. And the program will go through December 31st, 2025. This is a renewal of the program, which is at this point is managed by the Thurston Conservation District, which provide assistance to teachers and the students related to stormwater and watershed education. And this is one of the educational elements that we meet the requirements of the municipal permit, the NPDES permit that we have for the county issued by the Department of Ecology. And just to give you a perspective, in the last 5 years, which expires the contract on December 31st, 2020, that will be between 2006, 2020, we engage almost 3,500 students and 148 teachers in stormwater and watershed education activities. And this particular item, $14,400, is going to be covered by the stormwater fees, and it will not be an impact to the general fund. And I believe Anne Marie Pierce is here to answer any questions you may have.
Good morning, Anne Marie, and do you have anything to add?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Anne Marie Pierce, Education Outreach Specialist with Thurston County Community Planning. And I think Ramiro did a wonderful job covering this. I just want to mention, in addition, that South Sound Green, it's been in existence for about 30 years, and the county has helped support this program for almost 20 years. And in that time, the last 30 years, they've assisted over 30,000 students through the program. And this program is available for any teachers and students that are located in unincorporated Thurston County to participate in.
right, commissioners, any questions? Ty?
No, it's just, I mean, is the funding level proposed just sort of a continuation of what we've done in the past, or is it up or down for some reason?
We are keeping the funding level at the same it has been for the last 5 years, which is actually not what we would have normally done. We normally, after the end of 5 years, we would have allowed for a cost of living adjustment and research if other kinds of expenses have gone up, which they have. But due to the impacts from COVID-19, all the cities, the county, and the Conservation District agreed to keep the funding level this year at the same that it has been. But in the past few years, the participation in the program has gone up significantly as more and more schools are required to incorporate this type of interconnected environmental education and engineering and science into their curriculums.
Okay, I'm good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Gary, anything?
No, Ty asked my questions. I'm good.
Good, thank you, Anne Marie.
Thank you, commissioners.
5B, interlocal agreement with Recreation and Conservation Office, the RCO.
Yeah, for your consideration, commissioners, to approve a local agreement with the RCO office. And this is related to Thurston County staff. We're asked to, by the Office of the Chehalis Basin, to participate on 2 local advisory committees for a governor-director project to explore alternative flood control on the Chehalis Basin. A technical advisory committees analyze the feasibility of potential impacts and alternative projects to control flooding and ensure aquatic habitat protection in the Chehalis Basin. Thurston County staff attending these 2 committee meetings and provided input in technical expertise. The interlocal agreement allows for the Recreation and Conservation Office, that will be the RCO, to compensate Thurston County for the staff participation on these 2 committees. The funding is capped up to $28,000, and again, this is great news. As you can see, they see the value of the technical expertise the county staff brings to the table, and this is an acknowledgement of that, and I believe that's a great compliment to staff who participate on this process. I believe Commissioner Minzer is more than aware of these activities on the Chehalis Basin. I'll stop there.
Okay, and Josh, anything to add?
I guess I would just say this is, thank you for the opportunity to continue to honor the Hearst decision. And our county and our community is working in a collaborative way that, as the county manager relayed, our technical expertise in CPED and at the Thurston County is recognized, and this is that recognition. So thank you for your support.
Got it. Ty, anything?
No, this is good news. I didn't know that we were going to be potentially eligible for this. I was hoping our staff could pitch in some information, and yeah, it's great that we were able to do that and play a bigger role and get compensated from the state. So thumbs up. Good job.
Gary?
Nope, just following Commissioner Menzer's lead on this one. He's the expert on it.
All right, got it. Thank you, Josh. Number 6 is emergency services, and it's the 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant.
Yeah, Commissioners, for your consideration is to approve receiving the 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant. They will serve for the period of June 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021 for a total of $127,814. The federal fiscal year of 2020 emergency performance grants is a reoccurring grant that we receive. And in this particular grant funds 1.15 full-time employees in the emergency management for public education, people sheltering, animal sheltering, unmet needs for disaster survivor, support for the Disaster Assistance Council, and coordinates with public health and external affairs, and so provides all that coordination related to emergency management. This position also leads the Thurston County Disaster Assistance Response Team, volunteer team, which is designed to provide staffing the emergency at the ECC, public notification, and public assistance during disasters. This particular grant does require a 50% match, and the match is coming from the general fund. Since this is an ongoing grant on a yearly basis, the required match under the general fund is already included on the proposed budget for 2021. So there is not an increase of what you have already provided preliminary decisions on. Kurt Harding is here, waiting patiently to see if you have any questions.
Kurt, anything to ask, sir?
Ramiro did a great summary. No, this is just a recurring annual contract requirement with the state.
Okay, Gary, anything?
No, sir.
Ty?
Nope.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Number 7 is Public Health Social Services Emergency Solutions Grant COVID contracts.
Yeah, you may recall on November 3rd, 2020, the Board of County Commissioners approved the contract amendments with the Washington State Department of Commerce to receive funding under the Emergency Solutions Grant COVID program, which totaled $3,882,592. This particular action is for you to consider awarding 8 emergency solution grants. And the recipients of those grants includes the Community Action Council for Lewis, Mason, and Thurston counties. That's the name. We're not providing assistance for other counties. For rental assistance for $600,000, the Community Youth Services, Rose's Place for $116,610. The City of Olympia for Hygiene Services, $73,000, thereabouts. Family Support Center, South Sound, Shelter Hotel vouchers for $343,248. Interfaith Works for First Christian Emergency Shelter for $425,750. Interfaith Works for the 3,444 Martin Way Shelter for $795,095. Partners in Prevention Education for Shelter in Place for $119,740. Safe Place for Shelter Hotel vouchers for $103,255. And all those 8 contracts amounts to $2,577,286. Tom Webster is here to answer any questions related to this proposal. And again, this is the second step in the process when we accepted the grant, and this is just to issue the contracts or start providing funding to start helping our community need.
All right, Tom, anything to add, sir?
Tom Webster, Manager of the Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention. Just to add, these are really a continuation of contracts we've been funding for the last several months to support our homeless crisis response system in their response to COVID. So we funded these with other grants we've received from the Department of Commerce, the Emergency Housing Grant, most recently with our CARE CRF. So most of these are a continuation of services we've been funding. We've just identified another new funding source that's able to continue these services. For most of these, this is about 6 months worth of funding. So this should take us through the end of May to continue those services.
Wow, that's very good. Gary, anything?
No, sir.
Ty? Nope. Okay. Tom, thank you very much. This is good stuff.
Great, thank you.
7B, Amendment number 3 of the Lewis County contract for the NFP.
Yeah, Commissioners, you heard this item on your role of the Board of Health. Back in November 10, 2020, the Board of Health approved Amendment number 3 for the ongoing Lewis County contract to purchase the Nurse Family Partnership Health Services. And that is a contract that that services that we provide to Lewis County. In Lewis County, they have served 50 clients. This particular item, the Board of Health approved, has a cost of $309,822.25 and goes through from December 31st, 2021 of this year. And the next step in the process is for you as a Board of County Commissioners to take a formal action to approve this contract. Gretchen Thaler is here to answer any questions related to this proposal.
Good morning, Gretchen. Do you have anything to add?
Good morning, Commissioners.
No, just that this has been something that we've been doing since January of 2018 as we've worked in a 3-county partnership to provide services of nurse family partnership to Lewis County as well as Mason County is also. But this just allows us to continue services for 50 families in the Lewis County communities.
Beautiful. Ty, anything? Gary?
Gretchen, this is beneficial to kids, I take it.
Absolutely beneficial to kids. Yes.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gretchen.
Thank you.
7C, a sole source contract for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Washington.
Yeah, Commissioner, for your considerations to approve a sole source contract with the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southwest Washington to provide a mentoring program to children and youth within the Tumwater School District, as well as I think it's 2 locations in the Tenani, Bucota, and Tumwater School Districts. This the Community Prevention Wellness Initiative, the CPWI. Provides funding to Thurston County from the Washington State Healthcare Authority each biennium to provide substance use prevention. In this case, it's for the 2 sites, the Tenani, Bucota, and Tumwater School District. The total cost of this particular contract is $15,000, I believe. And before the board can consider a sole source, the internal auditor, Brandon Weber, has to go through a process. He has reviewed the requirements of the sole source and has recommended for you to consider awarding this contract under a sole source. Chris Hawkins is here to answer any questions.
All right, good morning, Chris. Anything to add?
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Hawkins, Program Manager with Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. And I wanted to just note that this is specifically for Tumwater School District and that particular site within our Community Prevention and Wellness Initiative funded efforts here in Thurston County. I'm sorry if our AIS referred to Tenino, but that is not currently anticipated to be part of this particular agreement. And this is basically renewing for this new program year of CPWI to offer the mentoring services to youth in Tumwater. Big Brothers Big Sisters was our partner last year, and you approved a similar contract at that time for the 2019-2020 program year. And BBBS has been a great partner in delivering this mentoring service, made some great adjustments due to the COVID-19 situation, and are prepared to continue offering that same mentoring service to young people in the Tumwater area, which encompasses obviously a bigger area than just the city of Tumwater. It's schools down to Little Rock and over to East Olympia and the like. So it is quite an important area of our county, and we're grateful to be able to provide this service with the healthcare authorities funding.
All right, thank you. Ty, anything on that? It's all next week.
What is why is it that we have this program for Tumwater? Did they reach out and ask us for the need, or why does it work? I mean, very happy to serve this area, which is mostly in my commissioner district, but I'm just curious how this got configured the way it is.
Yeah, the funding that we've received for the Community Prevention and Wellness Initiative is from the state of Washington's healthcare authority. This has been a long-running program where the state identifies areas within counties that are high need. And so they identified previously the Bucota Tenino Healthy Action Team coalition, or that community, as an important community to offer services in. And then in 2018, as we were taking on this contract, we were identifying a second site for the CPWI work in the county, and Tumwater was the community that came up as the one with the greatest needs on the state's list. So basically, it was a state decision to hone in on Tumwater, and from there we helped to form a coalition, the Tumwater Hopes Coalition, And that coalition worked on an action plan, a strategic plan to identify what services and what programs they wanted to offer in the Tumwater community. And they landed on mentoring as a key part of that effort, which is all about youth substance use prevention, I should add. That's sort of the core of CPWI. And so they honed in on mentoring, and Big Brothers Big Sisters is the service provider for our area. So that's why it's a sole source. They're the ones who do that program, and they're the only ones who could fill that bill for this community and in our county. So it's actually it's a sole source, but it's as I understand it, really what we're talking about here is a waiver of the usual competitive solicitation that we would do on a contract for services.
Got that. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Good background. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Gary?
No, sir. Chris covered it.
Yep. I agree. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, commissioners.
Next is agenda item number 8, sealed bids for public works flare system improvements.
Thank you, Commissioners, for your consideration is to authorize the call for sealed bids for public works to receive bids related to replacement and upgrade of the existing flare system that we currently operate at the Waste and Recovery Center. The current flares is a mandate for us to manage the gas emissions at the work in as we have a closed landfill. However, the existing flare system, it is too large for the current output of the methane that is there. So the flares have not been effective to manage the low grade methane that is produced on the landfill. And also these particular flares have reached the useful life. So the proposal is for you to secure bids again, authorize the department to secure bids to replace the 2 flares. And we have an estimated cost between $750,000 and $970,000, which is going to be paid by the solid waste tipping fees. I believe Karen Lees is here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Good morning, Karen. Do you have anything to add briefly?
Good morning, Commissioners. Karen Weiss, Interim Solid Waste Managers. I also have Rick Thomas here, who can answer specific details about the project as it is being implemented through his work group. But this has been analysis for this, the flare system analysis has been ongoing for a couple of years now, and we've worked with a consultant to come up with the preferred alternative for the right size system to take us the flare system for now and into the future as the gas continues to be reduced over time as the post-closure landfill continues to settle over the life of its life. So Rick, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Briefly.
Commissioners, this is Rick Thomas with Office of the County Engineer. And no, I think that Karen has covered it well. And also not to get too technical, but if there are any technical questions, Chris Helmer, who's the project manager, is actually available as well.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this topic?
Yes, I do, but sounds like we're in a hurry, but I'm wondering, is there some ability, apparently the low grade of gas that's given off makes it so it's impractical to utilize that gas to produce power to get some benefit back into the grid from it. Will this new process maybe inject gas into the low grade gas and be able to recover some of that energy into power and put it back in the grid? Is there any hope that we could recover instead of just having the flare off?
This is Chris Elmer, Capital Project Manager for Central Services, who's going to be managing the project. And we have done an evaluation as part of the design process to determine if there's any viable way that we could use this gas, and it's determined that it was such low volume and such low quality that there's really no viable way to co-generate power from this particular remaining gas. And so the answer to that is we've evaluated it. The professionals tell us, no, it's not feasible. And that's what we're going to run with and replace the flare, which should take this system to the end of the life of the closed landfill, where then we don't need to flare it off anymore at that point. Hope that helps.
Okay.
Aye.
I seem to remember that we authorized some improvements to this system last year. Am I misremembering that, or did those not cut the mustard in terms of what was needed?
I believe what you authorized was us to move forward with a formal design process. And that's what we had done. And now we're at the point where we're moving into construction for the design, bid, build process.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all. I have nothing. Thank you, Karen, et al. And we're moving on to agenda item number 9A, the Sheriff's Office sole source purchase from Lexipol.
Yeah, the commissioners, the Sheriff's Office is requesting for you to consider authorizing a sole source purchase from Lexipol in the amount of $35,386.52. And this particular application is to maintain policy manuals, research proposed legislation, research newly adopted legislation, and locate and implement training guidelines. There is 2 steps in the process when we consider to have any software being purchased. One needs to be reviewed by the IT subcommittee, which the IT subcommittee has reviewed this and provided recommendations on the November 2020 meeting for the board to consider. And also the internal auditor also has to review to make sure that it meets the requirements of a sole source. And Brandon Weber has issued that determination. And for your consideration is for you to, again, approve a single source purchase from Lexipol for this particular application for $35,386.52. I believe Under Sheriff Brady is available to answer any questions you may have.
Under Sheriff, do you have anything briefly to add, sir?
Just real quick, this is again just a sole source request. The funding for this has already been approved, and this is actually 80% of the cost will be refunded back to the county from the Washington County's risk pool. So they see the value and the benefit of being transparent and making sure that we're, especially in today's day and age, up to date on all of our policies and procedures, and several of our partner agencies use this program as well.
That's good information. Ty, anything to add or questions?
No.
Gary, any questions?
No, sir.
Good. All right, thank you. Stick around, Under Sheriff, because we got 9B, which is sole source purchase from Power DMS.
Yeah, there's another software application for you to consider to go with approve a single sole source purchase from Power DMS for $9,826.24. This software application was reviewed by the ITC, that will be the Information Technology Committee, in November 20, provided recommendations for the board to approve. Also, the internal auditor, Brandon Weber, has reviewed the requirements of sole source and have also concluded there is something the board should consider. Power DMS application combines document management, training management, and accreditation management and electronic links that they alert the users whenever they change the impact of the compliance. And I believe Under Sheriff Brady can further elaborate this particular request.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, again, just another sole source request. This is a program that works hand in hand with Lexipol to integrate all of those policies and procedures. It also works with our FTO training program and gets us moving in the path towards accreditation. So it provides accreditation software as well.
All right, Gary, anything?
No,
Questions?
sir.
Aye? Got it. All right, thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 10, that's when we do our wrap up. And we move into one, two, three, four public hearings. The first one is telecommunications franchise with Astound.
Yeah, Commissioners, you will be receiving public testimony related to franchise application the county received from Astound Broadband LLC. That's a telecommunications franchise. And that's the first step in the process for you to approve the application. If that after public testimony, and then direct the staff to start negotiations on the actual franchise agreement.
Okay, any questions of Romero or Patty Rossetto? No.
Patty Rossetto's there, yeah.
And how about B, community planning CPED, renewal of interim.
Emergency housing ordinance that has been, the board has implemented in this past year. And before you enact on renewing that particular interim ordinance, you need to hold a public hearing. And that is the purpose of next week's public hearing. And again, there's a couple of options for you to close the public hearing. But at that point, I will ask not to take an action on approving the interim resolution because staff is going to be providing you with potential amendments for consideration. And those amendments have not been part of the public comment that is currently going on right now. That I will introduce those proposed amendments to you, to the board for consideration after the public hearing, and then we'll bring a formal action on December 8th because this resolution, interim resolution ends on December 9th. So it's a little bit of a timing issue related to this.
Okay, Ty, do you have any questions of Romero or Maya?
I guess not. I mean, if there's, no, I don't.
Okay, Gary?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Maya. C is a public hearing, Public Health and Social Services, HUD, Consolidated Performance Evaluation Report.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is a public hearing where you'll be receiving public testimony related to the 2019 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, also known as the CAPER plan, which is required before this plan can be submitted to HUD. And particularly is related to the Community Development Grant, Block Grant Program, also known as CDBG money. And the performance report goes from the federal fiscal year 2019, which covers September 1st, 2019 through August 31st, 2020. And Tom is here to answer any questions.
Any questions of Tom on this topic, Commissioners? Ty? No? Okay, nor do I. Thank you, Tom. And the final public hearing for next week is CPED, and it's the recycle asphalt policy.
Yes, you will be receiving public testimony along the many written testimony you have already received related to the recycle asphalt policy, which is an item CP11 on the 2020-2021 official comp plan docket the board approved early in the year. I do have scheduled an executive session at the end of this morning related to this item. And I will probably ask you to hold your questions before, after the public hearing, after the executive session.
Executive session, okay. Good, anything, Maya?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Okay. We'll just hang on then until after the executive session. Okay, good, thank you. Thank you, Maya. That concludes just last week's or this week's and next week's BoCC meetings, and we've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes. Staff desperately needs a break. We'll take 10 minutes because we still have an action-packed agenda to get through by noon. So we'll be in recess until 10:50. Thank you. And welcome back to the November 24th, 2020 board session, work session and agenda setting. We're moving on with where we left off, and proclamations and awards are next. Amy Davis, our clerk of the board, is here.
Good morning, commissioners. There are no proclamations and awards for review this week.
Oh, thank you for that. Next is advisory boards and commissions.
There are also no advisory boards or commission applications to review.
Very good. PIO check-in. I've seen Brian and I've heard Megan Porter of PIOs.
Good morning, commissioners. Megan Porter, Public Information Supervisor. And I just want to give you one great update. We hit a huge milestone last week, and the Comcast franchise negotiations are complete.
Whoa.
So yay, thank you. Thank you so much to Grace O'Connor. She's done amazing. She's in our prosecuting attorney's office. Yay. And so we're going to be bringing forward probably a presentation to you in early January, where Ken Fellman, he's the attorney that's been working with Comcast and with the jurisdictions. He'll do a brief presentation on it. And then following that, we'll bring the contract forward during a regularly scheduled board meeting.
Okay, great.
And in fact, we reach a consensus with all the cities, Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater as well. So everybody's behind this agreement.
Wonderful. Questions or comments, commissioners?
No,
I'll
sir.
save it for January.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Look for to January.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Megan. Do you have any questions for Megan for PIO stuff? Or comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Legislative update, Romero.
Yes, commissioners, I will be meeting with Deborah Manguia on Monday. We're going to be developing a schedule as to when we're going to set up Zoom meetings with the local legislative delegation. So I will be tapping into your calendars to have those Zoom meetings so we can present our legislative priorities for 2021.
Okay. Anything, guys, on that? Guys, commissioners? Okay. Next is briefing public hearings pending.
Yeah, I'm going to walk you through all of them. Item number 2, you already discussed that on your agenda, which is the revenues and property tax. So I will not touch base on that, commissioners, unless you have any questions. And also, I'm just going to go through all the other 3, and unless you stop me, I will probably just give you a briefing of the testimony, and then I will give you the next steps. On the flow control ordinance, you received 2 public comments, one from Mr. Pettit, arguing perhaps the need of having this flow ordinance, and you also received public testimony from Mr. Steve Gilmore. He's represented from Republic, where he concluded this is a good ordinance for you to consider. Unless the board's giving different direction, I will work with Public Works to bring a formal ordinance for your final consideration in the next 2-3 weeks. Next is the revenue property tax. You already addressed that under your regular agenda for this afternoon. Next is the rate increases for Lone Lake and Lawrence Lake. You also received public testimony from Mr. Pettit arguing the need of those rate increases, and those rate ordinances will be brought to you as part of the regular ordinances when you consider approving the budget for 2021 on December 18th. Next is the proposed park impact fees revisions. Likewise, I believe you received some written testimony from the Master Builders Association. And unless I hear any other comments, we'll bring a formal proposal for you to consider approving as part of the budget approval on December 18.
So with that, let me ask Ty and Gary, do you have any questions regarding any of these 4 items?
No, sir.
Okay. Ty, anything?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thank you, Romero.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner items number 1 is Superior Court Uniform the Guardianship Act and a request.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Let me frame a little bit the issue. Later in the year, this legislature, excuse me, passed the guardianship, the Uniform Guardianship Act, UGA, also that's the new acronym, in which requires the courts to appoint attorneys for indigent parents and kids. This attached to your packet is an email that we received from Pam Harmon-Bayer. She is the Superior Court Administrator, and I believe she's here to present the item for you. And the overall conversation today will be for you to hear a little more in detail this particular unfunded mandate, which is going to be required for you to consider additional budgets for 2021. I am not asking the board for you to make a decision today. We will bring those items to you after you hold a public hearing related to the 2021 budget, and those will be presented to you for further consideration after holding the public hearings on December 7th and December 8th. But again, this is a good opportunity for Pam to give you an overall background of this particular request. Pam, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Ramiro. So I'm Pam Hartman-Bayer, I'm the Superior Court Administrator. And with us also is Georgia Christian, our financial services. I always get the title wrong. She is budget and finance for Superior Court and Juvenile Court. So I'll try to make this quick because I know you guys are in a hurry, but the non-parental custody statute is changing to the Uniform Guardianship Act effective January 1st, 2021. They're only enacting part of the statute regarding minor children. So it'll be minor guardianships effective January 2021. They're enacting the other part of the statute regarding guardianship for adults beginning 2022. We have received a little bit of information that Senator Peterson, who brought this legislation, may delay it because of pushback from the Superior Court Judges Association regarding the unfunded mandates associated with it. What it requires us to do for minors beginning January 1, which is different than what the non-parental custody cases require us to do, is appoint attorneys for both indigent youth and parents. I have reached out to the Office of Public Defense, Robin Martin, and at this time, it's my understanding that they're not willing to take these cases because of their current staffing, because of caseload limitations, and they can't monitor these contracts. I need to create a rotation in which the court can appoint cases to attorneys to cover this. To answer one question I did receive earlier from Ty, I briefed him very briefly about this yesterday, is Senator Peterson likes uniformed acts, apparently. I'm not sure exactly, when I talked to the judges about what was he trying to accomplish, I think it's just this fact that he likes uniformed acts throughout the county. So every county you go to is the same. And also the other answer I received was potentially this has mandated timeframes for cases to be done, which could have been achieved by a case scheduling order, but it seems like Senator Peterson wanted to go this route. So we've been working really hard to figure out what our caseload number actually is of non-parental custody cases that are switching over to the UGA minor guardianship cases. And we believe our caseload is about 100. With that, you can see what happens if we have to appoint one attorney, two attorneys, or three attorneys. And we'd appoint three attorneys if you needed one for each parent and the minor. The costs can range between $90,000 to I'm gonna make sure I'm doing this right, $270,000 if we're just talking about the minimum amount of hours appointed. And what we're proposing right now is $60 an hour, which is what our other attorneys are contracted at, for 15 hours of work without additional approval for fees. So I guess I'm just bringing you this information because there's a potential that it starts January 1. There's a potential that Senator Peterson is going to delay it 6 months, or at least the unfunded mandate piece is 6 months. And I just want to give you a heads up as soon as possible regarding what my estimates are regarding costs. I know I kind of spoke for Office of Public Defense, so I'm not sure if Patrick has anything to add.
Patrick, do you have anything to add, sir, to this?
Good morning, Commissioners. Excuse me, Patrick O'Connor, Director of Thurston County Public Defense. No, I became aware of this law change earlier this year, and this is just not something that it's part of our current workload or scope. I don't have the expertise in guardianship to go through a vetting process of like we would do for our current independent contract attorneys. So I think it's more appropriately that Superior Court takes the lead on this. As I mentioned to Romero in a meeting last week, we're happy to work with Superior Court and share any processes that we've developed over these past couple of years to support them. But I think it's best housed with Superior Court. They're in the best position to select and manage contracts, monitor performance, sort of all those things that we wouldn't be in the best position to do.
Okay. This is called an unfunded mandate, is what I'm reading. And we're discussing here on November 24th. When did the court first hear this was coming?
I think our timeline has really been, this came to our attention in September. And since September, we have been working very hard because there was a lot of pushback from the association, from the Judges Association. We've been working very hard to limit the amount of numbers associated with our non-parental custody cases to really get a good estimate of what potential impact and costs could be. So I think we started working on this in about September.
In September? Okay. I'm looking at it as and this is not derogatory, but like a late hit. Here we go. When it comes to the unfunded mandate. Ty, you want to weigh in on this, or do you have any questions or comments?
I guess one question for you, Hutch, is did WASAC, I know you're in the legislative committee, has WASAC taken a position or could discuss this in your meetings?
I don't remember this coming up, no.
Yeah, I figured that you would have. I mean, I've seen them. I was surprised when Pam told me about it yesterday because I've certainly seen WASAC get very fired up about things that are a lot less clear than this. And I'm just curious what the unfunded mandate, there's that statute that the state tries to find end runs around, and I'm not an expert in that statute by any means, but some of the end runs I've seen them do in other cases, I don't think would apply here. So we might want to have our legal counsel evaluate this in terms of just how strong our position is to push back on this in terms of the unfunded mandate component. Going to Patrick's point, I can certainly say that there is no overlap in the skill set between the criminal attorneys and what the laws and the skills involved in this type of a matter. So that makes sense. And Patrick, your office doesn't handle anything to do with dependency, am I correct?
We do have one dependency attorney, Robin Martin, and I've consulted with her on this, and this is outside her scope of expertise as well. So these are just a whole body of law that we are ill-equipped to handle.
I mean, I did, this was what I did non-parental custody cases as a private attorney, but I never did guardianship. So I'm kind of at a loss to know what the difference is because I don't know what a guardianship involves that's different than what I'm familiar with non-parental custody. Non-parental custody are basically family law cases, child custody matters, and they're handled by family law attorneys. And that's why I asked Pam, I'm like, who is trying to solve what problem? And that's what she was trying to answer in terms of Senator Peterson liking uniform laws or whatever, because I wasn't sure what interest group pushed this and what did they think was wrong with the non-parental and how is the guardianship system better fit? I don't know the answer to that because I just don't know the guardianship world. But it seems to be it's just a final comment. I mean, this is black and this is a stark, non-parental custody cases do not involve right to counsel, period. And if they're shifting this into a world where there's an absolute automatic right to have a counsel, I mean, that is a very fundamental shift in systems. And I would be curious of how the state thinks they're going to get away with not funding or pushing that on the counties without significant, pushback from the counties.
I don't want to say that WASAC has missed it because I might have been the one that missed that. but they are always on actively any unfunded mandate coming down the pike. And typically it's been like Hearst or indigent defense or the ballot boxes, those issues. I haven't heard this one come up. That might be a miss on my part, not Wasatch, but this is a surprise to me.
May I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this item came in one of the many WASAC meetings that we have participated.
Okay.
And in fact, a county was asked if any of the counties have seen this new law, and that's how we reach out to Superior Court just to give us a perspective on that.
Good, thank you.
WASAC has a legislative request of unfunded mandates, as you know, and we will work with WASAC and Deborah Manguia next year to see what are the parameters of the unfunded mandate. I believe the best body to argue this unfunded mandate has to be WASAC, because WASAC, affects all the counties. It's not just Thurston County. So we will work with WASAC in the upcoming legislative session on this particular item to see whether it meets the state law that Commissioner Messer stated related to unfunded mandates. But yeah.
Gary, anything? Oh, hang on, Robin.
No,
Gary,
sir.
anything? Okay,
No, sir.
go ahead, Robin.
But in the meantime, we will bring this item during your final budget deliberation as to what you like to do related to absent of addressing the unfunded mandates issue or absent having a successful delay as a request of the Association of Judges, as Pam stated. If we don't have those issues resolved before your final deliberations, you may need to consider adding to Superior Court's budget to meet this requirement. But that conversation will bring to your attention after the public hearing on your final budget deliberations for 2021.
Okay, Robin?
So doesn't the state law make this effective on January 1? And it would take a new state law legislation to change that effective date. I don't know how they could delay it without passing a bill.
So it is my understanding that the governor is willing to sign a proclamation which delays implementation of uniform guardianship for minors 30 days. If Senator Peterson agrees that he's going to go work on legislation to postpone the start date to July 1. So there is kind of a mechanism or plan in place, and emails going around from Senator Peterson. I don't know that process very well, but that is my understanding.
Yeah, that's a process I haven't heard of, the governor being able to delay something that the legislature enacted into state law. So that's interesting, and it'll be interesting to watch how they execute that.
Okay. Anything further on this topic?
No, sir.
No?
Not for me.
I don't see any hands up.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all very much. Good to see you, Pat. Good to see you, Pam. And you, Georgia. All right. Next is old preliminary plats.
Yeah. Let me begin this conversation by saying there's never a dull moment on this job. So as a framework, as framing the conversations, you may know the county approves preliminary plats, final plats. And within that context, we approve covenants on the face of those plats. In the covenants for of those many subdivisions outlines some of the requirements that that particular homeowner association needs to be implemented in managing those covenants. Last week, it came to my attention of plats, old plats, they were signed back in 1948 and maybe early 1950s, which it was honestly, my jaw dropped when I read the language. And this includes a discriminatory language on the face of the plats. And let me just read just one of them, and that will give you perspective as to what that really means. One of the covenants states No other than wide range shall be allowed to occupy any residence in this subdivision except for servants. That gives you a perspective of some of the, and there's variations of that language on some of the different plats. And again, this came to my attention last week. And again, I just feel appalled to bring this in front of you, but that's something that we need to resolve. And I strongly encourage the board to take actions to resolve this matter. It really doesn't matter whether there's 1948 or 1950s. It really doesn't matter, in my opinion, whether these covenants are currently implemented. What matters is a formal document that exists in the archives. They have those existing languages, that language that is just unbelievable to me, that in Thurston County, in the late 40s and early 50s, such language have been approved, and unfortunately have been approved by the board at that time. So I have been engaged with CPED, and I will ask the board to give us some time to come back with some potential actions to solve this issue. So,
well, typically the language shocks the conscience of the court, but this should shock the conscience of everybody.
Absolutely.
So what's the next action? How soon? I know what the next action is, but how soon do we do that?
Well, this item came to me last week. I'm bringing this matter to your attention. Let me work with CPED to give you some concrete steps as to how the options the board had, and then we'll bring this matter back again to you as to the steps that we need for you to consider to resolve and solve this matter.
And do we feel comfortable that we've scooped everything up and nothing's fallen through the colander?
No, I cannot attest to that, to the fact. No, I cannot. I was made aware of the plots that I have included on your packet this morning. It could be more than this. And that is why I need to work with the staff, whether the options that they may have to address this matter on a global perspective.
Good heavenly days. All right. Josh, did you have anything to add before I jump to the commissioners?
No, I guess other than we look forward to the opportunity to right a wrong, and the direction that the board provides is appreciated.
Okay. Gary, anything to add? Any questions, rather?
I guess my question would be, are we going to create a lot of work for a lot of people to correct a lot of issues that could be, this type of language could be in a lot of different plats, I guess, that were created years ago. I mean, within the last month or so, I remember we made some adjustments to a plat from like 1908, I think. And so seeing that language, might we be better off to create some overlapping ordinance that voids all of those type of conditions that might exist in plats, rather than have to go through every one and try to write every one, because we'll probably never get them all. I'm trying to think of a solution that might be a little better than individually reviewing this stuff, and we could take a stance on from this board on correcting an obvious wrong.
Yeah, I think
Romero kind of suggested that. You suggested that, I think, Romero, something overarching, an umbrella type thing that would, for lack of a better word, rescind the previous ones, and this is the new standard. Go ahead, Romero.
Yeah, no, that was my suggestion. Give us the opportunity to bring some options for you to address this globally, if that is the case. And but again, answering your question whether those are the only ones, no, I don't know. It could be many others. And Commissioner Edwards was correct. If we go one by one, it creates a lot of work. So, and again, give us time to come back with options for you to consider to address this matter in a global perspective.
Ty, anything?
Just tell us what we should do. Obviously, it's very embarrassing, but our county is named for an individual who espoused these types of views, and that's still something that is out there. And this is within the lifetime of folks that are still here in Thurston County. So it's good. It's good to be reminded of this when we think about what kind of latent and sort of systemic racism we still may face in our community. This isn't so long ago that those folks that wrote these covenants may still be around. So just something to think about.
I would only add, I can't go back and put myself in that mindset. And I don't need to put myself in that mindset really, because here we are in 2020 on the precipice of 2021. And as you said, it's embarrassing and it's shameful. To today's standards, that's shameful. So yeah, I'm open to whatever can get done as quickly as we can do it without doing anything haphazard. It's got to be done properly and legally. Anything else from anybody on this topic? Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Public testimony.
I think we just about covered.
Okay. Before we get to the executive session, we have a few minutes for commissioner items. I've got two, but they can wait, or one just takes a moment, but I don't know if my seatmates have any. Ty, you have any commissioner items?
I don't think so. Nothing that needs to be addressed today. Thank you.
Okay, Gary, before I jump to you, can I just throw one in? It's kind of an advert.
No, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
WASAC, thank you. WASAC put this out that with COVID in place and most county and city offices being vacated by folks that are telecommuting, legislators coming into town are looking for nice, quiet space to use while they're in session during the week, day to day, hit and miss. They'd be very appreciative if we had some type of amenities for them. If we can legally do that, they would love to have some type of office space available. I just thought it out there, and that's that. The other topic I had is regarding, this is real quick. There are about approximately 600 felony cases awaiting in the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney, and that is going to impact cases that we start moving into those in the next several months. It'll impact the Office of Public Defense as well, and they may need an additional felony attorney rather than just contracting out. Just food for thought. I put them out there and I'm done. So Gary, do you have anything to add?
No, sir. Mine can wait.
Okay. Well then, Romero, I think we're ready to move into the executive session.
Let me see if is Travis here?
There he is.
Okay. So for the rest of the staff, can you log out of this Zoom meeting? We'll keep this going. The live stream will stop just to make sure that we'll continue to have the conversation. So I believe Josh, Travis, and Maya will remain. Yep.
And I will give the legalese when you're ready. You ready now?
Yes, please.
All right. The Board of County Commissioners is going into an executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110 subsection 1 subsection I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. This is the RAP comp plan amendment. Commissioner's action may follow, and we expect this to last about 30 minutes, and it is now 11:24 hours.
Hey, Maya, can you log out, please?